There was like a credit card bill or something, and that's when the arguments started, and there was a lot of fighting, and it was about money.
Yes. Right? So when you're very broke and you're starting out, and if you don't have $1,000 in savings and you're wondering if you're very broke, you're very broke.
Yes.
You need $1,000 in savings. And to me, this is the benefit. Enjoy the money.
Exactly.
Don't be irresponsible where you, I don't think you should waste it all because someone's going to take it and he doesn't have that fear. But don't hoard it either.
Yeah, there has to be a balance because you should enjoy what you've worked for.
Yeah. Welcome to the Limitless Tribe, where two badass women build businesses, chase dreams, and keep it way too real. I'm Kat.
And I'm Mel. We're the founders of Powerhouse Admins and the Limitless Tribe. And we're inviting you into the messy middle, the mindset shifts, and the CEO glow-ups we never see coming.
Now let's get into it. So today we're going to talk about budgeting, but also more in a story time way, right? How we handled our finances from the beginning, very broke days, to now the more comfortable days, and then how do we learn, who do we follow, and things like that. So not anything, hardcore budget advice, but just our experience and what's really helped for us get us from that point to where we are now.
We both come from similar backgrounds with the fact that we had children young, and the fact that we struggled a lot in the beginning, and we had to really find our way to save and budget and do all of the things to get to a point where we can be more comfortable. So hopefully this will help somebody that's also on this journey or looking for ways to kind of learn to save or learn to be better with managing their money, because I know that it definitely helped us out a lot.
Yes. And also that there's hope. You don't stay there forever.
Yes.
Even though when you're in it, it feels like That's
so funny because that's how I felt.
Yes. I used to tell my ex at the time, who was a money pit, that I felt like we were we were in a ditch, right? And we're climbing to get out. And as soon as you get to the top, it'd be something smacks you, and then you go right back down, and you just can never get out of the ditch.
And I think it's also your mindset that plays in it as well. I feel like when you're constantly woe is me, and everything just keeps happening to me, and everything keeps happening to me, more things just keep happening. But I was in a very dark place.
For me it wasn't that, but we'll get to that.
For me it was. And my ex was not just a money pit, just a terrible one.
Yes, yours was. Mine looks like
put me in so much debt. So much debt.
But let's start with childhood. So did you how were your parents with money when you were young? Did they talk about money? Was it a common topic or no?
The topic was always very negative. I think, and again, I think it's coming from, and obviously it's not all immigrant parents, because lots of them do very well, and come and have a financial abundance and are able to handle things. My parents, I think, were so scared to lose everything again, that any money that they made would just we would spend. It was spent. So there was no saving ever. We lived great. They had good credit. They paid all their bills. They didn't not pay bills. They didn't not pay their debts, but they had debt. They had a lot because it was constantly, paying credit cards. So you're working and your credit card bills are through the roof and you're paying those off. And then once you get them low, you just put money back on them. And we're going traveling and, coming to Florida 3 times a year on vacation, because you should enjoy the money that you're working for, because you don't know if tomorrow you're going to have it, or if it's going to be gone, or if you're dead and then someone else is going to spend it for you.
Yeah. I don't think that's ever Hispanic. Because I think that's a very specific, their experience, because they're Cuban. Yes. And they literally lost everything.
So that was our life. It was constantly, they gave us everything as kids. We went to Catholic school, high tuitions, all those things. And my dad had holes in his shoes, on the bottom of his shoes, because he made sure that we were dressed to the nine and all good. But that was basically how we grew up. So I just saw money as come and go, come and go, come and go. No. You work for it and then it's gone.
I saw two totally different kind of examples. Sorry about the lawn guy in the back. I don't know if you guys can hear it.
I'm sure you can.
Also, side note, we do this on Fridays. Today is Tuesday. So it's kind of weird for me, because now I feel like it's Friday and I'm going into the weekend and I still have 4 more days or 3 more days of work. But anyways.
That is very true.
My parents were divorced when I was super young. So my mom like struggled a lot financially. We had everything we needed. Like we never didn't have everything we needed, and she was an amazing mom. But like we didn't have extras. Like I don't ever remember like going on vacation unless like it was a Colombia trip, which is not vacation. It was like to visit family or something, and that was rare. Like somebody had something that happened to them if we went. And I'd go visit my dad in Jersey, which it was there to be. It was like a custody thing, not like a vacation to me. So I don't think I really took vacations until I could like afford to have my own. And my mom was not a spender. She had good credit. And she did save some, but she just never made enough to really save enough. But she wasn't a spender. Like she was very kind of like responsible with spending. I mean, she didn't really have it. And then my dad is the opposite. Like he's always had businesses for as long as I can remember. And he's like a really lucky guy. Like he just does whatever and it just works out for him generally, you know? And I feel like I have a little bit of that. Like sometimes things might happen, but I always recover. I don't know. And that's kind of how he is. So he wasn't always super organized with things or ever, but things just always kind of worked out. There was like the next opportunity and he always had money, but he was always like frugal because I feel like when you grow up poor, it's not that experience of if somebody's going to take it. It's like, we need to save. So he like prepped and got life insurances and investments and like got properties and like he's trying to like be set, you know? And he believes like not to really leave things now, but like when he dies to then leave what he...
Yeah, like a legacy.
What he's built, right?
Yeah.
But like, for example, he's super frugal and won't take like a first class flight, even though he could afford it, because to him, that's like... He never adjusted what he can afford to how he grew up. And his friends had to force him on one. He said he felt so uncomfortable and never did it again. And to me, like, this is the benefit. Like, enjoy the money. Like,
exactly.
Don't be irresponsible where you... Like, I don't think you should waste it all because someone's going to take it. And he doesn't have that fear. But don't hoard it either.
Yeah, there has to be a balance because you should enjoy... you know what you've worked for.
Yeah, like when would you enjoy it? Like you're older now, like hurry up.
Exactly. But you don't want to be reckless.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference.
But this is a time to use your money for the things you've always wanted to do.
Definitely.
And then with my mom, I remember one time one of her husbands, I remember being at the beach. I don't remember the full conversation, but I remember it was something about deciding on something minor. And I was like 16. And he said, oh, I make the decision or I make the final decision because I pay the bills. And I remember registered in my brain, must be able to pay bills.
Yep.
Because I will never be in that situation.
That is so funny because I feel like that my dad was very like, you know, I'm the man of the house and I managed the money and da-da-da-da-da. And everything had to go through him. And I was always like, I want to be my own money manager.
Yeah.
I want to have my own things. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they can control me with money. Like it was just, that was very big on my checklist.
Yes. Me too. And it's also not healthy because those people did wasn't right.
Yeah.
Because it's not healthy, but it's helpful. Like it's a good thing to pour into. But I feel like even if you're a stay-at-home mom and you bring $0 to the house, you should have equal say.
Yeah.
Like, if not, like, why are you even in this marriage? That's the point of having this partnership, you know?
And I think that's how it was with my parents. Like, my mom didn't work until I was 9. And that's when I realized that we had, like, money problems. Like, because we came back from a vacation and I think that, like, there was, like, a credit card bill or something. And that's when the arguments started and there was a lot of fighting. And it was about money. And that's when she got a job. But it was still, like... her money was his money. Like
she never makes all decisions.
Yes. Like she never, I remember I was older and I was working and I would take her to go get her nails done and stuff because my dad, when I was younger, he would pay for me to get my nails done. But for my mother to get her nails done, it was like a different story.
Well, you know what?
Like
I've
things
noticed?
like that. And that bothered me though.
I don't know. I wonder if that's a money thing because I had a friend.
It's a male chauvinist thing, to be honest. But
I had a friend and her parents, they separated pretty early too, but like when they were together, he didn't want her to do anything. Like he wanted her to not do eyebrows, not do hair, not do nails. I think they don't want anybody to notice this woman.
No, my dad wanted my mom to look like amazing.
But not nails?
But she had to do it herself.
Oh.
Like, he didn't want to spend the money on it for her to go out and do it. So she would, like, do her own nails at home. She was always, like, her hair was always done, and, you know, her face was always done. She would clean the house in stilettos. Like, the woman was crazy. She always looked amazing. She was always dressed up, but it was very strange.
Yeah, that's weird. Because I've seen the opposite. Like, they just don't want anybody to look at their woman. And then the other thing I saw when I was a kid, not from my mom, but from friends' moms that were in marriages that they didn't have, like, they didn't have their own finances set up. I remember one friend, her mom had been cheated on, and the mom couldn't leave because she wouldn't be able to, like, afford to take care of their kids and herself, and she was, like, stuck there.
Well, that was also part of my childhood too.
And that was another thing I was like, nope.
My mom, every time she wanted to leave my dad, we would end up we would make it halfway somewhere, and then we would end up going back because she would start thinking, what am I going to do? I have no money, I have no funds, I have no nothing. I depend on him. So we would just end up going back.
My mom was YOLO.
Yeah. She's like, fuck this.
It's funny because mine is older. My mom is 80. But she's, like, always been a feminist. Like, she was problematic when she was young because she was, like, not wanting to do what was expected, you know? So she could have no money, even when she wasn't working. Actually, her husband, one of her husbands, when he was, like, super macho, and I don't know, he did something, and she didn't like it, and he was like, I'm going to go. She's like, good for her. But if you go, you don't come back.
See, good
and
for her.
And she didn't have a job. And
good for her.
I will figure it out. But this is, and she was telling me recently that the guy
don't take crap from anyone.
Came back a couple of days later, and she's like, did you leave something?
I love that. I love that.
She didn't do that, but I felt like I didn't want to struggle financially. So that was more like what I learned there.
Yeah.
So then we got into the awesome relationships that were like our major first one.
Sweet Jesus.
So you go, yours is worse.
Well.
Where did you guys meet?
I was 16 and he was 28. Red flag already, right? And I met him while I played softball.
Why was he there?
He was hanging out at the park. Probably. He was hanging out at the park. I think he bought me ice cream.
This is so strange. And you know how you test kids, like if somebody offers you ice cream,
I don't even know like how I can say this. I don't know if I want to tell this story. Total loser. But 16-year-old me who kind of just wanted out of my house and an escape, and I don't know, was promised all these things and sunshine and butterflies, even though he was a total loser. I was like, oh yeah, sure, let's go. And we started seeing each other in private. And then I was 17, and then it was legal. So then it was
17 at legal? I mean,
in New
it's
York.
Legal at 17.
Yeah, so that's when, everyone kind of find out. I still remember the day that my dad and I were driving down the street, and he was in handcuffs. Not my dad. My daughter's father was in handcuffs. And my dad's like, look at that loser. And he's like, if I ever catch you talking to him, we had already been dating for a year and a half.
Did he know that you knew him?
No. And I was like, but everyone knew him from the neighborhood. So then I was like, oh my God. And then he went to my job where my dad actually was working at the time, and told my dad. And that's where shit hit the fan. We wound up moving in together right after I got out of high school. I got pregnant, and he got credit cards under my name, ran my credit cards up through the roof, didn't pay them. I had no money. I was working, pregnant, working, minimum wage. He was broke and now on drugs. And it was a total shit show. And I just remember I would walk home in the snow up hills for miles pregnant because I had no money. He would forget to pick me up. I couldn't catch a cab. My dad knocked on our door one day and was like, he didn't know I was pregnant. And then he saw me pregnant and he was like, come home. And I was like, no, because I was too embarrassed and I wanted to make it on my own and I didn't want to go home. And it just went downhill from there, I think.
How long were you guys together?
I was 17 until Victoria was born at 19. 6 months after she was born, I left him.
And okay, so then when you broke up, you had all the debts that he left and the bad credit and all the stuff.
And had to try to figure out how to pay everything, get myself out of that mess, and still survive. And I'm very hard-headed. I don't take money from people. I don't want help. I got myself into it. I'm going to get myself out of it. So I did move back in with my parents, and I worked my ass off, paid bills at their house because I'm not a freeloader.
Did you consolidate any loans?
No, I just, little by little, I started like paying one card off. I put like minimum payments towards one, and then the other one I would put a little bit more until I paid that one off, and then I would roll those funds over to the next one. And I just kept doing that until I could pay off. It was like 3 credit cards that I had to pay off until I could do that, and then save money and figure out, my life from there. And it was very humbling. I would like to say.
But it's also one of those, I never want to be here.
No, I never want to be here again. I never want to go through this again. And I was always so scared of like my parents telling me, I told you so. Not that they would, right? I don't think your parents ever really say, I told you so. Like, I told you this was going to happen, and like rub it in your face. They felt bad for me. But I don't know. I just felt like I didn't want that. And then I didn't want them to hold over my head that they had to get me out of something. So I just worked my ass off, and I worked 2 jobs to pay off my credit cards, but then I had to also need someone to take care of my daughter, so have to pay for daycare on top of it so that I can do both. So then sometimes it felt counterproductive. I'm like, I have a second job, but half of my money is going to pay daycare, but it's also helping. So it was a lot of back and forth.
Mine was not as extreme, but similar. Not the age gap. We were the same age.
Yes, pedophile.
And I moved to Jersey when I was 18 because I swore that I hated Miami and I wanted to move to Jersey because I was born there, but I never lived there. I was like 4 when I left. So I moved to Jersey. My mom moved with me.
Wait, so you were in Jersey, then Miami, and then back to Jersey?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I was born there till like 4. Then I moved here, but I always hated it here. I feel like it's common to just hate where you're from or where you live when you're a kid. And you don't, especially when you don't go anywhere else, like you don't appreciate, because now I love it here. I don't want to, unless it's very few places I want to go besides here.
Yeah, I don't want to live back in New York.
I moved to Jersey. The first day, because I was young, we drove and I got there and we went to we didn't even unload. We went to like a party and we met this guy, and I remember thinking he had like a lisp and he was ugly and he sounded dumb. And I'm like, no. So I didn't pay attention to him. But he was in the friend group. And then a few days later, we go out. I crash into his friend's car with my Honda Civic. My Honda Civic is destroyed. His friend's old Maxima, the brake light broke.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm 18. My dad pays for the car and the insurance. And with the business, I think. And I'm like panicking, like, what am I going to tell him? Like, we're not super close. He's going to be really pissed off. And I'm panicking. And he was so nice and so helpful.
Really?
That was like, I had such low expectations.
That is funny.
That was enough. And I was like, oh my God, he treated me so nice. He brought me napkins while I was crying. I thought he was like the nicest guy. And then we dated in Jersey for like a year and a half. And then I didn't like it. And I wanted to move back down. And I didn't invite him to move back down because we'd been dating like a year and a half, and I felt like that wasn't enough to like move states. So I just told him, hey, like I'm gonna move back to South Florida, like, And then he's like, oh, I want to go, and he invited himself over. Now he comes and he's living at my mom's house with us, and then that's where I got pregnant, and we were paying like a small rent, like $400. He didn't rack up the credit cards like a loan, but I'm not like an arguer. So I feel like if somebody is more aggressive, you're going to win because I'm not going to fight it. So we would try to do finances together, and then we would put stuff on credit cards. He wanted to do these things that we were not in the budget. Like sometimes we'd have a little bit extra money, and I wanted to move out. So that was where I felt like we were getting to the top. It wasn't that I felt like the world was screwing me over. I felt like he was screwing me over because he liked, like at that time in the 2000s when people used to like spruce up their cars.
Yes.
He wanted to do like the muffler and this to the car and that to the car. So every time there was extra money that could go towards saving to move out, he needed to spend it on something. So it was always like gone.
Yes.
We never had money to move out. So we racked up, we had like $12,000 in credit card debt, and he had a car in my name. The insurance was in my name.
That sounds like me. The insurance was in my name. His car was in my name. Everything was in my name.
Thankfully, like a couple months after we broke up, he had a car accident that totaled the car. He was fine, but the car was totaled. It was so new, it had gap insurance, and there's no car to insure. So I was able to like get rid of the car and then the insurance, and then start paying like the credit cards off slowly. And I remember telling him, like, right now that she was young, I don't really need child support right now, but I need the debt paid off. So I remember it was $80. I think I was asking for like $80 a month or a week. I feel like it was a month.
For child support?
No, just for the debt.
Oh.
So that I can get
I didn't get child support, so I don't
know.
know.
At that time, I didn't know he wasn't going to give it. I was offering, like, I don't need money right now. I need it for this. He didn't pay either. So then I had to pay off the debt. So, like, getting into the budgeting part, right? I don't remember where the budgeting started for me, but I just always remember having a spreadsheet. My daughter says, she's like,
oh my God, I always had a notebook.
Oh,
Mine was a notebook. Everything was written down in a notebook.
I don't remember a time before Excel.
Oh no.
I don't know.
I don't know why. I had everything in a notebook, and I had notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks of every payment I received from work, where it was going, what I was left with at the end. Oh my goodness. It was crazy. I have so many notebooks.
Do you remember like why you started that? Like, because your parents were not budgeters.
No, I think, well, because I needed to figure out my life, and I refused to live. I refused to live like my parents. Like, I think that's been my common denominator in life, has always been like even when I was with my daughter's father and things were terrible and I had no money and all this stuff, I just kept thinking, how did I get here? Like, I didn't want this. But what the hell what happened?
So, like, one thing I don't remember, I don't know if you remember, is like, because that was my same feeling. I know I don't want this.
Yes.
So I didn't have really like examples.
No, me neither.
So I seeked out like, but at that time, like, I feel like the internet wasn't a big deal. So I don't know how I found them, but I would seek out like mentors that were like maybe on TV, or I don't know where I would find them. But I remember Tony Robbins from an early time. But I don't know how I found him. But I would always look up people like that because I didn't have like live people. And so the budget thing, I must have heard someone say about doing that.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember. I know that I probably started around like really writing everything down and being very strategic when I was going to court because Victoria's dad, I needed to get sole custody. He was going to jail he was out on parole, and then he beat me up, and he got arrested for that. So he violated his parole, was going back to jail. I had to go to court to get sole custody. I needed an attorney. The retainer was $5,000. I was broke. So I needed to figure out how to get $5,000.
But they don't have like a state one that will help you?
Yeah, shitty people.
But I mean, how much of a fight do you need to put up against this guy?
Oh, you wouldn't.
Because he had friends that were.
You wouldn't imagine. It was. I tried to get someone from the government, whatever, that appointed one, a court appointed one, and it was a complete shit show because all his friends were cops. So every time that he would, like when he got out of jail and he would come to the house and he wasn't supposed to be there because I had a restraining order, they would say, he's not here. Oh, he was never here. And I was like, he's standing right in front of you, threatening to kill me. Oh, he's not here. And I would be like, oh, okay, great. Then when we started going to court before that, the people in the courthouse, someone knew him, and then the lady that was going to be like the visitation person between
like us, the one that like when it's
supervised visitation, she wound up being his friend. So then they took her from, like, they were supposed to go to, I had to drop her off with my dad because my dad would go with me. We would drop her off somewhere and they were supposed to stay there. I would drop her off to this woman. The woman would take her inside to him and they would stay in this play area. Well, they wound up leaving and they went somewhere else and there was no car seat and my daughter was bruises, came home, and then they said that never happened. It was a whole thing. And every time I went to court, someone knew him. So I had to hire an attorney. I had to get, like, my friend's mom was running for women's council or something, and she decided to help me out too. So it was a whole ordeal. But yes, I had to shell out all this money for all these things, and I was like, I'm broke. So let's figure it out. I have to figure this out. But it worked out.
So the budget is really good because it gives you so much clarity. And I feel like a lot of people that don't like budgets, they think that the budget is going to limit you or it's going to not let you do things. But I truly think it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Like you don't realize
It's to see what you can do.
Yes, and you don't realize how much you can do until you really see the numbers.
Exactly.
And a lot of times there's like leaks in the boat, right? Like there's just things you're overspending on, things you're double paying maybe, things you don't need to be spending on.
Things you're subscribed to and you don't even realize you're subscribed to them, and then you realize it.
And then even like the income piece, like you're almost scared to spend because you don't know how much you have. And when you don't know how much you have, like you really can't move forward much. But I loved when I did the budget, it was two things that I needed to attack. And first I think I did both at the same time, but the expenses were like the easy thing. And at that time, I really didn't have, it's not like now where I might have a duplicate subscription or there was no duplicate subscriptions. Like I knew every single penny, but it was everything. Like FPL, is there some program? Is there a $6 discount? Is there a way I can make this cheaper? Like, what if I bring the degree down 1 degree? Like I would, every bill I would analyze to see how I could save a couple dollars. The T-Mobile bill. Okay, are we on the right plan? Do we this? Do we that? Like everything. And then the income part. How do I make more money? Okay, great. How do I make more money? How do I make more money? So I'm always figuring out whatever job I had, how do I move up to this next step that gives me a more income? Because the yearly things, that's just a bonus. I needed to.
You need it now.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out quicker how to get there.
Not just that, like the yearly thing was a small increase. That's not really enough to make an impact. I needed like the growth from bigger positions. So that's how the budget really helped me a lot in the beginning. And I paid off those $12,000 slowly, but I paid off the debt, protected my credit. My credit, I think, was okay. It was never, I don't know if it was ever really terrible, but it was okay. Not what it is now. But that was a time of just paying that off and then trying to increase income, which I was doing a lot.
Yeah, I think I did the same thing. I worked 2 jobs for a long time. And then when I did switch to the one, but it was because I would get promoted. So then I was like, okay, well now I can drop the other one. I can stick with this one, but now where do I go from here? So it was always, I think every position I've had, I've always had that thought though. Like, I don't want to stay stagnant. I don't want to stay in the same place. I want to grow. I want to make sure that I'm always contributing the most to make the most income, because that's where I'm going to be able to succeed the most, right? So I think that was always my plan, and that's how I kind of took every job that I ever had. And if I switched from one company to another, it was always an increase in the same field, but a better position, or learning something new that I didn't know before, so that I can add it to my, resume and be like, okay, well now I know all 3 of these things in healthcare, not just one. So I'm more beneficial than somebody else because I can do more. So you can pay me more because of my experience. So it was always, trying to be strategic like that.
So if you're starting out, that's what I would recommend. Write it all down. I used to do something, and I don't know if yours was the same, but like, and I don't, this is the same, exactly the same now, but it was a $0 budget. So then if my expenses were 1,000 and my income was 1,500, that 500 didn't just sit there or wasn't like something I spent. That 500 went into my next bucket that I needed the most. Either it's paying off debt or savings, or like a split of both, until like I had 0 pretty much, almost, Now I leave a 1,000 buffer in my bank account, because sometimes the dates would misalign, and now I'm like, I don't have money, but it's not because I did it, it's because I transferred 500 into savings too early. So
but it should always have a purpose.
Yes, like everything had a place of either something I was building, something I was paying off, something I was saving, and the expenses, always looking at them. Do you really need that expense? Is there a cheaper option? The job's the same. I remember when my first bigger job was enterprise, and it paid a lot more than the other jobs I had, but it was a lot. It was like 50 hours, and I moved up to I think it was assistant, and I didn't want to be a store manager there because they were really like ugly with their managers. Like I could hear them yelling at my store manager from outside, and I'm like, no, I don't want this. And I remember when I went to do the transition to T-Mobile, I did so much math because technically it was less of what was guaranteed. But there was a commission and it had so many benefits. So I would be like, okay, so the cell phone bill is going to go in half. So that I add that to my pay.
Yep.
The health insurance is cheaper. So that they save this much. And then commission. And I was always like super conservative, especially because sales is not like something I'm good at it, but I don't love it. And at that time I was newer to it. So I would put like, if I do minimum sales, even a small, okay. And it was a better deal even per hour. And I thought, okay, even if I work here 30 hours and I make a little less, I can get another job for 20 and still make more. And that was like the best decision.
Yeah.
Also jobs that I always looked for jobs that were big. Like to me, the company was important, not so much the starting position, because some companies are limited to, like if you do a small mom and pop, you can only grow so far. And if they only hire family and friends, like then you really can't grow there.
Yeah. And I think in healthcare, it's different though. So when like you work for healthcare, it depends on if you're with like a hospital and like a big name, but if you work for retail, they pay crap. Retail pays crap. So if you start in a pharmacy at a retail facility, you get paid minimum wage and you're not growing. So I remember I started at Walgreens, went to then I went to a pharmacy that did medications for long-term care facilities. And they paid a little bit more, but it wasn't like a huge name. It was a smaller, like not a mom and pop, but probably something mid-size in between because they had a couple locations. So we started there, and then I was working Walgreens and both of them at the same time. And I was like, okay, I could do this. And then from there was a compounding pharmacy that I went to, and I started working there. And then I remember my old boss at Walgreens, his friend owned a pharmacy down in the Bronx, and he was like, I recommended your daughter. They're looking for somebody, have her contact them. And I went there and I got the job, and it was such a commute. It was the first time. And I think this is why I'm also like used to commuting places and it doesn't bother me. I've always driven far for work. So I used to have to drive from where I lived in Yonkers down to the Bronx every day. And it wasn't like, super far, but it wasn't close either. But they started me at like $60,000. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then by the time I left there, I was making like 80 something thousand. And I was like, and to me, I was young, 20 years old, like 21, 22. I was like, this is phenomenal, because that's where I really was able to get a large chunk of that, not just finishing paying off what I needed to pay off or save what I needed to save, but be able to move and get out of New York, because that's what I really needed to do.
Yeah, I think in these places where I was, let's say, I was in pharmacy, but like this one pharmacy might pay me more, right? In retail. But then that's where I stay.
Yeah.
I wanted to know how many levels up are there, so that I can go up the levels. And then like small places, I just felt like there wasn't that room to grow. And then I got into sales, thankfully, accidentally, because enterprise was sales, but they pitched it as like a management trainee program. Did not say sales anywhere. And then it was sales. So by the time T-Mobile came around, I wasn't as scared of sales, and I felt like I could do it, and I learned even more there. But sales is where there's a lot of money there, because commissions is less capped, and you can make a lot more there.
Definitely.
But it's not for everyone. And before enterprise, any job that said sales, I would skip it. I didn't care how much it paid. It could be $100,000. I cannot do the job. But I got into that accidentally, and it's a huge blessing, because you need sales and everything.
Yeah. I think that last job that I had in New York, though, really taught me, that's where I felt like I am my own glass ceiling. Like, I can do anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because it's scary. Like, you start a new job, you don't know, and then the different requirements of what's expected of you and your knowledge and how much you know. And that's where I became certified, because I got there and they're like, why are you not certified? Like, you can do it. And I was like, just never thought about it. And I went and I took the test, and without practicing, without anything, I just went and I took the test and I passed it. That's and awesome. I was like, I can do anything. I've gotten myself out of this mess. I, got a good job. I've made money. I can do anything. There is no stopping me now. And that's really where I just felt like I was invincible.
And some jobs also have that's like a non-financial benefit. Yeah. That like give you certifications or help you with certifications and things like that. And that builds your resume. And that's something that once you have it, you take with you forever. So, and some jobs pay for school. T-Mobile paid for school.
That's amazing.
Up to masters. I didn't get to the masters, but they pay for school, which was awesome.
That's amazing.
So look for all of these added things. I think sometimes, and I realize also, everybody stays in their own world.
Yes.
You know, like you knew pharmacy, I knew retail, but even in retail, like some jobs pay crap and some jobs, like when I was looking for work,
it depends on, I just know pharmacy retail pays crap. And now it might be different.
Well, I mean,
back then,
even in retail,
you know?
some places pay crap, and like generally when people hear T-Mobile people, they don't think they make that much, but
no,
like
T-Mobile,
the reps like have all these luxury cars, and like managers make like 80-ish, you know, to 100 depending on the store. You can go up, but even like I was looking for a job once, and Aldi, the supermarket, they pay pretty decent.
Really?
It was like the district manager was a good pay, and they get a BMW. This was a few years ago.
What?
But
that's not bad.
or like in California, In-N-Out pays like they're known to like pay like over 100,000 for like store managers.
Nice.
So you have to look for like the places. I feel like sometimes people don't know, or like maybe you know, like the office world. I feel like an office 9 to 5 job is the most limiting.
Yeah.
There's really not that much room to
hard.
grow. There's no bonuses usually. There's no extra pay. I feel like you need to do like a specialization, like a pharmacy, like there's a lot of different specializations, or sales.
Yes.
Everything else is not going to pay or grow as much.
And get out of your comfort zone. There were so many jobs that I would, because I would look for work no matter what job I was in. I was always looking for something else just in case. And because I was always told you never stop looking. Right? So I would always continue looking. And there were so many things that I was like, I don't know if I can even do that. That's not like, I've never done that before. That's kind of out of my realm. Even when I moved here and I was kind of, I was working for one company and it was going under and I needed to find another job. And I was like, I was applying and but I wanted to make either what I was making or more. Like, I was like, I don't want to go down.
Yeah.
So then it was hard to like find something comparable. And there was a job traveling and doing audits. And I was like, I've never done that before. I don't know if I could do that. And I was like, screw it, I'm applying, and I got it, and I was like, oh my god, so it's like, get out of your comfort zone and keep, apply for those positions that you might think that you might not be ready for, or you're not sure of, as long as you have what is that called, like the motivation,
to learn it,
to like, do well, to succeed.
Step up to
you have to step up to the plate and actually get it done. That's what you need. You have to be willing to be open to it and to like strive to be great.
That's something that I didn't learn until like it was too late and I didn't really need a job anymore, because I was the opposite. It's not that I don't know if it's that I didn't think I could handle it. If I saw a job and my husband is like to the extreme, I've tried to tell him because I've learned the better way, but if he doesn't have a qualification that's on there, he won't apply.
Yeah.
And that's how I was. Like, if I didn't have a qualification, I'd be like, oh, I can't apply. And I wouldn't apply. And I missed probably so many opportunities because I didn't apply.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I don't know if you should be like, I have 0 of these qualities, but I feel like if you have some and you're missing some.
Exactly.
But you have like that, like ganas, like that push to like Mel said, go for it. And
you don't want to be arrogant about it and be like, I don't know anything, but I'm just going to apply for this job, and I'm going to hope to get it and I'm going to do nothing. But, And also, it's really not up to you. Like, the hiring person is going to decide, right? And you can be transparent about your grit along with lack of this specific knowledge. And they'll make that decision. And sometimes, like, even like now that we're in hiring roles, like, I hire people sometimes not so much on experience, but who they are as a person and how I feel like they manage things and how they manage problems and stuff like that. And a lot of the skill set stuff can be taught, but a certain type of personality that is driven, that is loyal, that is hardworking, and honest, that's not teachable. Yeah, so it's really hard. You'd be surprised. I know they put their expectations there, but if they love you, they will make an exception for something. And if they don't, then it wasn't for you. Yeah, you just keep going. I didn't think you were going to get it before anyway. Exactly.
So I recommend that for sure. Yeah. Especially now that so many people have a hard time hiring. There's so many factors that go into play that isn't as clean cut as the bio. So just apply if you think you would be a good fit, even if you don't have all the qualities. So with getting the mentors, right? Now it's so much easier, right? Podcasts.
Oh yeah, now it's everywhere.
Yes. find podcasts of people that you respect, that you like their lifestyle, and that you like what they teach and how they teach it. You can do, they do have a lot of freebie courses that they give out. Facebook is a good place. A lot of people give and get advice. Books are great.
Yeah.
So one of the first people, and mine was accidental, not first, because my first I remember Tony Robbins, but I don't understand because I didn't buy the tapes. And it was before he had course, like, things I could afford. So I'm not sure, but I knew of Tony Robbins. But later, I had an ex that would listen to this guy in the car, and the ex was much younger than me. And he would, we would do a road trip, and he would put this guy, and he had such a country,
I know who you're talking about.
Yes.
I listened to him too.
Such a country, accent, and not something I'm used to. And I'm very liberal, and he's super Republican, and he's old. So he's also outdated in some of his things, So at first, the voice and I'm like, okay. He'd fall asleep to this guy. Sometimes we're falling asleep in bed and Dave Ramsey is going on, and I'm like,
love me some Dave Ramsey.
But if you listen, you're forced to listen to it.
Yeah.
And you really listen to what he's saying. It was great advice. And you take and leave what you don't want, right?
Exactly.
But he talks about the baby steps. And that was around my 20s, mid to late 20s. And that was so helpful for me because it gave me a roadmap.
Yeah.
I was already doing some of the things, but all over the place. By the time I listened to him, so with buying your house, right? So with buying my house, my mom was losing her house, and I had zero savings. And I didn't want to save that house because she had done bad loans. They gave her a balloon loan. Have you heard of those?
No.
I think I don't know if it's still called that, but I remember being 16 and reading the statement, and the mortgage was going from $750 to $1,500. That's why she got into a lot of trouble too, because it's an investment loan. So it's a loan they give to people when, let's say, flippers. This is what I understand. Don't quote me, but it's a lot lower interest and it's a lot lower payment, but only for 5 years. It's for a set amount of time, and then it jumps drastically. But usually it would be for a flipper who you're not going to have the home that long, so you could take advantage of that and sell it before it jumps. Or people doctors, when you start, that you don't make that much money, and within 5 years maybe you're at $400K.
Okay.
So now you can afford the expensive house, but you need the relief in the beginning. So I think they gave that to her because she didn't have a lot of money and they just wanted to sell her the mortgage, but they didn't account to her income wasn't going to change drastically in 5 years or however long that's So it kept terrible. Yeah, it was a huge jump. So it was just too much for that small house. And I remember I asked an ex that was a realtor, I'm like, what do I need to save realistically? Just give me a number. I always like to have numbers. If I need to strive for something, I need the number so I know how much I need to get to, and it becomes more real and tangible for me. And he tells me $20,000. I had zero, no savings at all. So I had reduced my debt a lot, but I still had some, not a lot of credit card debt, but some, and I owed the car. So at that time, I did garage sales. I felt like I literally looked through the cushions. I looked to see what I could sell. I think I sold stuff on eBay. I did garage sales. I saved every penny. I would bring all my food to work.
I just heard on the radio that they said, and this is a low number, they said if you bring lunch to work every day for the year, they're estimating that you save $3,000 a year. And I'm like, I think it's more, because lunches now are $20.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Minimum.
Yeah, a minimum of 20. I'm thinking 25 with tip and everything, $26. So I'm estimating that out to be $6,000 at this point.
Yeah, 5 days a week. I mean,
but I was like, you do save a lot of money by doing that.
I bought no clothes. I bought nothing. Like Dave Ramsey says, rice and beans. And I was able to, I did consolidate some stuff. So I didn't need school loans because I had financial aid and I had T-Mobile.
Yeah.
But I did take out a loan because it was super low interest. And I planned this all strategically. It was an $11,000 loan. So I paid off all my debts. Because the other problem is I'm going to buy this house, but I can only afford this house. I cannot afford the house and any other bills.
Yeah. This is it.
27. So I need to eliminate all the other expenses so that I can afford the house and the bills that come with the house. So I got the loan and I paid everything else off that was a higher interest. And then I paid off the loan super fast before I bought the house. Smart. Yeah, even the car loan.
That's really
like
smart.
I had to pay everything. It can't be like the car and the mortgage.
Yeah, it had to be one.
Yeah.
We had to be very careful.
So I feel like the Dave Ramsey came after that. And I don't know. I feel like I already had the house, but I bought it at 27 and I was able to get the 20K or a little bit more. Thank God, because at that time it was after the crash. So they didn't allow me to just have my down payment. They wanted me to also have 6 months of mortgage saved.
Oh, yeah.
To prove that I was safe.
Yeah. I had the money. I had most of the money to buy the home, to put down the down payment. My problem was I was 23. They said I couldn't buy it by myself because my credit wasn't great at that point. It was better, but it wasn't amazing. And I needed someone to go in with me. So I was already living with my parents, and I was going to move to Florida by myself. That was my plan. I was like, I'm moving, I'm leaving because I cannot live here. My dad had always said, I'm not moving to Florida ever. He hated Miami, hated it. And when I said I'm moving, I came to Miami. I left Victoria with them and I came to Miami and I started house hunting. And I had already contacted a realtor. We were looking at different places, from townhomes to homes to everything. I didn't even know where I was. And then my whole family is like, stay to the right of the bridge, not the left of the bridge. Like, it was this whole thing. And I'm like, okay, I don't know where I am, but sure. So we're looking, and it turned out that they were like, well, you can't do this by yourself. You need someone's credit. You need all this stuff. And I was like, I have the money. Like, let's figure this out. And my dad was like, well, if you're moving to Florida, we're moving to Florida. And I was like, are you sure? My mom was like, we're not going to let you leave with Victoria. We want Victoria to be with us too. And it was really hard for me to even think about leaving my mom because I was always like I felt like I was her protector. I love my dad, but there was a lot going on there. And I've talked about in other episodes, there's a lot happening in that relationship. And I always felt like I had to be there for her. And then my dad's health wasn't great. So we ended up buying the house together and we moved together. My mom would help me with Victoria. I would help out with my dad's stuff and his medical stuff. And that's kind of the decision that we made to stay together.
We stayed together, but I was the only breadwinner, so I had to buy. So mine came a little older, and I didn't make as much as you did, like so young. Yeah. But I was like a penny pincher, so I made it.
Yeah, and Dave Ramsey is a lifesaver.
Yes.
I still listen to him every now and then because he does give out some good tidbits of advice here and there. And actually, when my father passed away, he left my mom in a ton of debt. And I had to help her out of it. And we did the whole snowball effect through Dave Ramsey and the whole thing. And I put her on a budget, and she would be like, what is this? How am I going to survive? And I was like, you are going to survive. I don't care if you eat rice and beans for the next 2 weeks. You're not buying anything. You're not ordering anything. You are going to survive. And it worked. I mean, the methods work, but you just have to stick to them.
Okay, so I'm going to go over them, and you fill me in if I'm wrong or forget, because it's been a while. I don't listen to him as much now. I do like sometimes listening when people call in.
Yes, that's what I like.
Because I already know, so I'm like, no.
Yes, I know.
So I wait for him to have the confirmation, but I don't listen to him as much anymore. But so the baby steps. So the first step is $1,000 in savings.
Yes.
Right? So when you're very broke and you're starting out, and if you don't have $1,000 in savings and you're wondering if you're very broke, you're very broke.
Yes.
You need $1,000 in savings. So sometimes it's hard for people because you want to pay off debt first or you want to invest first. But this $1,000 is your cushion because people are like one flat tire, one high bill, one missed paycheck away from chaos. Mm-hmm. So this $1,000 protects you from that so that you don't go into debt or problems. If you get a flat tire and you don't have the money for it, you take it out of the 1,000 and then
But you need to get that 1,000 back.
Yeah, you rebuild the 1,000. But you have it, and now it doesn't throw everything off, right? Because some people are investing and doing this, but then they get a flat tire and now they need to take out of their investment that now charges them fees because they didn't have money for like a life situation that happened. So first step is $1,000 in savings, somewhere liquid that you can use it, but don't touch it.
Yes.
True emergency. A flat tire is an emergency, but an oil change is not. You know the oil change is coming, so you need to save for the oil change.
I was going to say, wait, you need an oil change, but yes, that makes sense.
Yes. So, like an oil change, I'm not good at this.
I was going to say, but Cathy at one point didn't get an oil change for a very long time.
But it was not a financial, it's more like a time thing.
Yeah, not because of her finances, just because I think you didn't realize that you needed one that bad.
I mean, I did, but it just becomes like a next time, tomorrow, but whatever. So let's say it's 3 months and it costs $90.
Yeah, you save up for that.
30.
Yes.
Okay. You don't want to take it out of your 1,000 because you knew that was coming. The 1,000 is for truly an emergency. Same with birthdays. Same with Christmas. These things come around every year at the same time. You need to save in advance.
Yes.
Same with a vacation.
That was the one thing I always wanted to make sure that Victoria had, like, I don't know if it was mom guilt. I wanted to make sure that she had like good presents to open up at Christmas. I would start saving from like the January before. I would put little money away and I was like, nope, this is for Vicky's Christmas. This is for Vicky's Christmas.
Yeah. But it just makes it less.
It does. It's not that hit at the end of the year that you're like, where am I going to get this from? What am I going to do?
It's too much all up front. And the same with like school time. Like,
and I still do this for vacations.
Yeah, for vacations.
I want to pay off my vacation before I go on vacation. I never want to go on a vacation and feel like I'm paying off the vacation after the vacation.
Yes.
So I make sure that I save up, I have my money for my vacation, and I'm good to go.
And I feel like whether you're comfortable or you're struggling, that's the rule. And if you're struggling, it's because it's going to compound and more life is going to come and you're still paying something from the past. And if you can't pay it in advance, then you can't afford to go.
Yes.
And if you're comfortable, it's just so much more peaceful to do it that way.
And these are lessons that you just take with you. I think so. You just continue to do them,
And back to school time for parents is another time that is expensive. School and uniforms is just a lot up front. So
it's coming.
Yes. A few months before, start saving up for that because you know it's going to be a big hit at that time. So after the emergency fund, the next step is to get out of debt, right?
Yes.
So then he does the snowball effect of the debt. So
Which really works.
Yes, and it's like momentum, and then it starts building and getting bigger.
Because I remember, I didn't hear it at Dave Ramsey. I forgot where I heard it when I was younger. That's why I started doing. Someone mentioned to me, and again, I don't know. I kind of blocked out a lot of trauma things from when I was younger, so things are a little like they get blurry, and I'm like, what? How did I know that, or what happened there? But I had heard about the snowball effect, and at first I was like, like, how am I going to figure this out? And if I'm paying this, and how do I get the money? And I was like, it wasn't clicking, I think. I was like, how am I going to get the money to pay for this and this? And I'm like, I have to work, right? Okay. And I had to like backtrack the steps. But once you get the hang of it, it works.
So what it is you line up, you've done a budget at this point. So you line up all of your debts, things like a home, or a car, those are more like recurring. Mm-hmm. So you might not include that in these necessarily, depending on your situation and how much time is left on those. But let's consider like credit card debts. So you line them all up, all the credit cards. It's not by interest rate, although some people do it that way. Mm-hmm. It's by the amount of the credit card. So lowest to highest. And then you consider the minimum on all of them, obviously, because you don't want to get behind. So you pay the minimum on all of them. But with that zero budget, any extra money that you have after you've built the $1,000 savings and you're pre-planning for stuff that's coming up, any extras are going to go to pay off that first tiny credit card.
The smallest credit card bill that you have.
Yes. Because whatever it is. But usually like the minimum payments, I feel like it's the same no matter if you have $2,000 or $200. So you want to pay off this $200 card first, or this $50 card, whatever it is. When you pay that off, now you don't have that $35 minimum payment there and the extra you were paying there. Now you go to the next card that's $300 or $400, and all of your money, were paying the minimum.
So you keep the minimum.
Plus the minimum of the one you just paid off, plus anything extra goes to that card. And you're still paying the minimums on everything else. And then slowly you start to pay everything off. By the time you get to the last one, it's been minimized a lot, and now all of your income goes to paying that one off as fast as possible. And with consolidating, you just have to be careful, because it was helpful for me, but I was strategic. Like that student loan, I think it didn't have interest for a certain amount of time, and I paid it off before the interest hit. Like sometimes with the credit consolidation, they charge you fees. Like you just have to be careful that it's
I think some of them, like, then they have to deal with the credit card, right? And some of the credit card companies don't want to do it, or do they all do it?
I don't know. I know that.
I think I heard a story like that.
I know that you can be kind of scammed, or you can, like some people think it's a better deal, but it's really not. So honestly, this program, unless you find like, let's say you did have a crazy thing and you used a $0 credit card, but you'd have to plan that needs to be paid off before the interest hits.
Yeah.
So you have to be good with money, and you may not be there yet, right? Because in the beginning I wasn't. So after you've paid off all of those debts, the third step is 6 months emergency fund, right?
Yes.
3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months.
Mine was always 6 to 9 because I'm paranoid.
I love you.
Now I'm like trying to get to 12.
Mine was not. Mine was 3 months, I think. And then I was like, okay, now I could do 6 months. But I didn't strive for the 9.
Oh, I did.
Right away.
Because I've had situations where I didn't have a job and I was able to live fine for a while.
Yeah.
So that was great. I don't know. I always have the emergency feeling.
Yeah.
And you don't know how big this emergency is. Is it not an emergency, but like, God forbid something big happens. So I just want to make sure that I have enough. So step 4. So one thing that I liked that he said was, so there's saving for college for your kid, and then there's retirement, right? Mm-hmm. And he used to always say, you need to save for retirement first.
Yes.
Before your kid.
Yes.
Because you could borrow money for college if you needed to. And there's loans, and there's grants, and there's scholarships, and there's a lot of stuff. But there's no scholarships or grants or loans for retirement. And if you cannot afford your retirement, the burden you're trying to take off your child with college, you're going to be that burden later on.
Yeah.
So I really like that because I've lived through that and I believe that. So I'm pretty sure step 4 was to start saving towards your retirement. So I believe it.
He does talk a lot about that. So it's probably.
I feel like it was like the 15% towards retirement, putting that first, right? Paying yourself first and stuff like that. And from there you can learn about 401ks versus Roth. Like if your company gives you any free money, take it because some places match it. But Roths are great because you pay the interest now, and when you go to take it out and it's built so much, then you don't have taxes.
Yeah.
At that time, it's not interest taxes. Sorry. So then 5, I'm pretty sure was. I feel like I'm missing a step. 5, I think, was the kids' college fund. Oh, yes. 5 was the kids' college fund, right? So now you start saving for that. But for me, like by the time I got to step 5, my daughter was already pretty much almost at college. So it wasn't a ton that I could save.
Yeah, I was going to say mine, I skipped that one, to be honest.
Yeah. And then
life insurance, what step is that?
It's not a step.
It's
but
not,
it's
he
just
does
something
talk
he
about
recommends.
it. He recommends a lot of life insurance. Okay.
So step 6 was pay off your home, which I also didn't really get to, but my last home was almost paid off, but then now we're here. And then step 7 is investing.
Yes.
And then with the home, I always paid in my old house, I paid every 2 weeks because they would allow me. Do. So it cut a few years off. That's
what we do. They suggest that.
Yes.
That's the best way to do it.
And if you get a house, like when I got the house, obviously I paid the minimum and I didn't have much money. So I had, I think I was 3% down. So I had PMI. So it's like an extra insurance that they add because you didn't put 20% down.
I was gonna say I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, because you paid more. Yeah, you had more people. But I could only put the minimum. So I did the first time home buyer and all that. So I had the PMI. So I was paying like an extra $100 in that insurance. But then when your equity hits 20%, so like the whole cost of the home went up plus what you've been paying in equals 20%, you're able to refinance.
Okay.
Because now there's 20% equity, so if you were to lose the house, they have money they can get back. So when I hit the 20% and there was like a good time for interest, I refinanced. It cost me like $2,000-ish, I think at the time, with $2,500. But then removing the PMI, I was able to change my 30-year loan to a 15-year loan.
Nice.
And the payment was like, I maybe paid $50 extra.
That's good.
So it was almost the same payment, maybe 50 to 75 more, which I could afford at the time, and it cut 15 years off my loan.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
And now the money's coming back to me instead of that insurance, you know? So that was huge.
Yeah.
And then my husband didn't do it that way, but he always paid extra towards the principal.
We do that too. So we pay every 2 weeks, and then we pay extra towards the principal. Yeah. Try to get that down as quickly as possible.
That's huge because there's so much interest in the house, and even though it's a 30-year loan, and you look at 30 years with whatever you financed, that's not what you're paying. You pay so much more than that.
Yes.
We just got this one, and it's a very high monthly payment, and the amount that goes towards principal, because it's in the beginning, like it's year one, is like nothing.
It's laughable. I feel like you're just like, what?
So I think, I don't have the exact numbers, but I think what we paid towards our mortgage in a year is about two or less of our monthly payments.
That's crazy.
That's what went to principal. So the mortgage barely went down. So, because we haven't been doing the extra payments, but we need to start doing that. So that's a highly recommend. And then investing.
Yes.
So now, he was super helpful. I highly recommend be patient with the accent and the voice and the, a little bit judginess.
I didn't mind him at all. But he does talk a little slow. But that's about it for me.
I grew up in Miami, and I just was not used to that. It was very different for me. And he is judgy,
Yes.
But I also get it because some people do some crazy stuff.
No, and some of the stories, like if you listen, like on Instagram, he's on there as well, and there's like little tidbits, and people call in, and you can hear what they're said. Some of these people, they make you want to like scream. So I don't even know how he deals, because I'm like, what? Like, what are you saying? Like, did you hear yourself just say that out loud?
Well, I sometimes wonder, like, how long have you been listening to him? Because you should know this by now.
Yeah, so like I feel like he has to deal with I don't know, all types.
But I feel, and some people criticize him because I feel like once you get towards the end of the baby steps, I think there's other methods where you could maybe be a little bit more aggressive with investing and a little bit riskier with stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would recommend his method forever. It's definitely a very safe method. But when you're starting out, and if you don't have those things, I think it's the best method, and it's necessary, and it's like the core, like it's like your foundation. So like now, I don't carry credit card debt. I have more than I have my 1,000 in my bank account as buffer.
Yes.
But I have my savings, which is, more than 6 months. And my daughter's, thankfully her grandparents are paying for her school. I'm investing in retirement. The house is the thing I need to work on, and I'm investing.
Yeah.
So now
those are all the important things as you become older and you're more, structured, you're more settled. So just making sure you have all your bases covered.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're at in life. And I think it's such a far place from where we started or even like where we came from, but it makes you feel good when you look back now and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Paul's very frugal.
Yeah.
My husband. So I'm more of the spender. He's more of the frugal one. So he's always, he's very good at budgeting as well. He does the spreadsheet. I still like my little notebook every now and then. But I do have an Excel, and he has one as well. And he's very about all of the funds that come in and what's being spent and where's it going. And then, what we're investing in, what we're putting money. So I like that he thinks that way, because he's even more than I am. So I'm the frugal one. Yeah, I feel like that works even better for us.
Yeah, because I feel like you need the balance. You have two spenders, it could get crazy.
Oh yeah.
My husband is more the spender, but he always he almost did all the stuff accidentally.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's annoying because he was although he didn't have kids or my situation, but he set up more without being so structured.
He did. But
yes, he didn't have kids.
Let's say he didn't have any children.
Yeah,
he went out on his own young.
Yeah, he was 18 when he left the house. But he also didn't have parents that he could live with that helped him, like we did.
Well, how were his parents with money? They're good with money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he had at least a good example.
Yeah, they're good with money, and they're financially independent and stuff. But he he didn't buy a house until much later because he was moving with work. But he always saved for retirement, and he always bought stocks in the company, and he always invested. Yeah. So he always had those things, even though he does not have a budget. To him, budgeting is weird. He doesn't get it. He doesn't need a budget. He just knows to do that stuff.
Good for him.
I would not recommend. I think that's
a unique trait.
Yes, a unique one-off situation, and I think most people that do it that way don't end up that way.
I agree.
And he doesn't carry debt either. He's actually more OCD than I.
That's the one thing I'm still so scared of, is like having like
credit card.
Yeah.
So he is like very about the what's it called? Like the close date. Like he won't put something on his card on a certain day because it's gonna close soon, and then like if it doesn't hit the card enough, like I don't know, that's too complicated for me. Like he doesn't want even like a penny of interest, because I mean I pay it off, but am I exact on the month? No.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't even. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, so I'd probably pay a little interest, but it's not a lot because I'm paying it out throughout the month. But that's like another thing about what we were saying about the credit cards. When I was younger, people always tell you, "Oh, put everything on the credit card, and then you pay it off." But even as like organized as I was, and my Excel sheet and penny pincher, I didn't trust myself to control the credit card.
Yeah, no, things happen.
Yes, and it doesn't feel the same on the credit card because I don't know, it's like the balance is going up versus on your bank, like it goes down and you clearly now don't have the money. It just I didn't trust myself enough to do that, so I didn't.
As an adult, I didn't pay my light bill once. Not that I didn't have the money, I forgot. And they shut off our lights. Could you imagine? No, it wasn't our lights, it was our water bill. I didn't pay the water bill. And because I didn't have it on Autopay.
Your mom's traumatized.
Yes. No, that's why she is, I'm telling you. I didn't pay our water bill one day. I completely forgot. Didn't even cross my mind. And all of a sudden, we had no water. And I'm like, I have the money. This is so embarrassing. I would rather not carry anything over.
I feel good about the credit card now, but that is just like last 5 years, and I'm 43. And I've been good with money for a long time, but I just didn't feel like, I was scared that I couldn't control it. But now I do. So my debit card is, I never use my debit card. My credit card is like my debit card. So I use it for everything that it will allow me to. But then I do my budget every 2 weeks, even though I pay myself weekly, but that's my old way. And every 2 weeks I put towards a credit card and I just pay it off, and I budget toward like for what I normally spend.
And you get your points.
Yeah, but I couldn't do it until recently. So I would not recommend until you've done more of the other stuff and you feel like you're going to have a control there.
Exactly. You know yourself.
Yeah. There's a lot of advice out there, but you also have to know yourself and know if you're at the level where you could do that.
Yeah.
So be careful because you can get into trouble. Definitely credit is important and you don't want to be in debt. Even things like, and I don't know how you feel about that. I know friends that are good that do it, but like I never financed like a fridge and stuff like that. Like put it into payments. Like people do that like if
you go buy a refrigerator.
Or like furniture and stuff like that, because I always wanted to keep my cost of living like as low as possible because of my fear, right? Because I thought like if something happened and I lost my job, or God forbid the business closes or something, like I needed to know that my expenses were low, that I could cover them. And if I start stacking these things that you could afford,
I think that's what the issue is, right? Like if you know yourself and you know that you're not the greatest with money or the greatest if you have credit cards, like then you start taking out, no interest for 24 months and I'll just add on that one, and then this one no interest for 12 months and then later on you lose your job, well, you still have to pay all of these things. Yeah. And how are you paying them?
I feel like people feel like they're hacking that interest rate, which maybe you are, but I don't think the percentage is enough for the unknown. Yeah. Like you don't know where you'll be in 2 years. Like what if some big expense comes up and I don't want to be paying my couch or my TV, later. Yeah. So for that stuff, I always went to see what I wanted, how much does it cost? And then I started to save aggressively for it. Yes. So if that's what I'm doing right now, then all my extra money goes towards I would put in my savings, and I earmark it. Like my savings might be 50, but it'll be like 20 is for this, 40 is for this.
That's like how mine is.
I need to have it separated.
I like to have everything separated by what it is, and I'll be like, okay, this is this vacation, or if I'm saving up for something in particular, it's the name of what it is, and then how much is in the savings for that specific thing. Yeah. Because my savings account, I don't know. I think my husband has a savings account that you could actually break things out.
Oh,
Mine wasn't like that ever.
none of mine have ever been
Right?
like that.
And I was like, so he showed me that recently. And I was like, I've never had a
Yeah.
savings account that's been able to do that. So mine has always been, well, the whole fund is there.
Yeah.
But it's
Break it.
now broken down into pieces of listen, I still do this with my Botox. Okay. I know that I get Botox every 6 months. Well, I know how much it's going to be. It's always about the same amount. Every month, every paycheck, a little bit of money goes towards my Botox fund. I'm not lying. I do it for my hair. Every 6 months, I get my highlights done. My highlights are expensive. There's a tiny bit of money that goes every paycheck towards. This is how I live my life. But it's because I don't want to stress later on.
Yeah, and then I feel like that expensive hair payment doesn't feel overwhelming.
Exactly.
And you got there and you're done.
Yeah. So everything in my accounts are earmarked for what they're for, their purpose, and then I feel better because I know that the money's there. I'm not, taking out of my my savings
And I
to
feel
pay
like
for it
if
because
it's not earmarked and it's this whole bulk number, I don't feel comfortable because I don't know how much is for each thing.
Exactly.
I need to know that 2,000 is saved for the couch.
Yeah.
I just need to know, because if not, it all, like, sometimes people feel comfortable that you have 50K, but you need it for your emergency fund and for this and for this. And 50K sounds like a lot, but it's not when you're splitting it into all these things.
I need to know how much the emergency fund is and then how much all these little extras are that I've saved up for.
Yes. And I highly recommend getting accounts that have better interest rates.
Yes.
So like Apple, they've been going down quite a bit, but they have a good interest rate. They're savings, so I keep some savings there. Some banks have like a money market account.
I think Ally has a good one. That's one that my husband has. It's really good.
Yeah, so look for places where your money, you can still access it for like those emergency funds and like those short-term purchases, but where it can earn a little bit more interest than like a basic bank account.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It's kind of, we mixed our stories in with the budgeting. I hope that makes it more interesting, but
yeah, and I hope it helps.
Yeah, it was life-changing, and as you can see, it created a really solid foundation where we're not easily thrown off, and all of these are things we still use, and then now we learn bigger things. Like now we're at the point where we can learn like maybe bigger investing or stuff like that. Our foundation is solid and we still carry all these tips with us.
So if you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may benefit from it, especially if you know anyone that's a single mom, that's struggling, that maybe is going through some financial woes, that this can really help them out of that. Please share it with them. In our next episode, we are going to share a story about the law of reciprocity in action. So how people who intentionally try to cause us harm and they win in that moment because whatever they did makes them feel like a winner, but how taking the high road ultimately prevails. So as always, your life, your rules, stay limitless.